point out is our changes in homicide rates and violent crime, period, in the city. And while focusing on those unsolved homicides and trying to bring justice to these victims and these victims' families, it's a tough burden that we carry, and we want to make sure that we are doing things the right way in order to build that trust that we are going to take care of people and that people have confidence in LMPD to do this job well and do it the right way and take care of everyone. And you can see from these charts that homicides were and non-fatal shootings were at an outrageous rate in the previous years. And last year in 2025 was the first year that we brought homicides and non-fatal shootings down to a comparable level to what would have been the norm pre-2020. And this is a graphic depiction of that. When we're talking about over 5,000 incidents in the past 10 years since 2016, those are 5,000 individuals, 5,000 families that have been negatively impacted by violent crime. And our goal every day is to make sure that we reduce that number. And we've been fairly effective with that. And part of our strategy has been directing resources towards addressing that violent crime. And I want to go over some data in that area that's been the source of the discussion. The partnership that we had with a company called Sigma Squared, we sought out, we began having conversations with Sigma Squared actually a few years ago. And what this came from was we wanted to understand more than just the raw numbers of what happens on traffic stops. We want to know what actually happens. We want to be able to dig into how successful and how effective our strategies are, traffic stops are, and how effective our officers are. And the data that we sought from them was much more detailed than many of the academic studies that we had in the past, and any of the data that the Department of Justice refused to provide for us during and after that investigation. And so we reached out proactively to Sigma Squared, which had not done work in the police sector. It had been a company that had done work looking at bias in hiring practices in the private sector. And we thought that that expertise could be applied with what we were trying to accomplish and the numbers that we were trying to understand. And so we reached out to them, began that relationship, and came to the understanding that this might be something really good, that we would be able to keep track of ongoing information. And so Metro Council awarded us $350,000 for that contract, which we had. And this analysis goes beyond just understanding disparities to the population. And what it does, it also accounts for the disparities in context and understanding what that means when you control for certain variables like time of day, age, the reason for the stop. And so we can have a more comparable understanding of all of the factors that go in. And then understanding officers' actions on those stops, once those stops are made, and their search decisions. So discretionary searches and hit rates. What a hit rate is when an officer searches a car, how often are they actually finding contraband? And so we wanted to understand that because that would give us insight into understanding the performance of officers out there on the street and the impact that they're having both on crime and on individuals. So some of the numbers that come out of this that are significant that we want to discuss, to put in context, we made about 37,000 traffic stops in 2025. And of those traffic stops, about 4,600 searches occurred. 47%-ish were white motorists and 45%-ish were black motorists. We've seen a disparity in the number of stops for years. We know that disparity has been there for a long time, and we wanted to understand more. We wanted to understand those activities that were happening on those stops. So as I talked about hit rates, our hit rate on discretionary searches overall is about 58%. So that means that almost 6 in 10 times that we make a discretionary search, we're finding contraband. To be 100% honest with you, I would have expected that number to be much lower. I think there was an article written by one of your colleagues that where he interviewed an expert that said he would have expected it to be more around 25% or so. And so very happy about that hit rate. However, we still want to make sure that that hit rate goes up, that we're training officers to see those signs of criminal behavior that might prompt them to make a discretionary search. The number that I'll point out here and talk a little bit about is that 66%. So that is the controlled hit rate number. And so when I was talking about there's the raw number of the 133% difference in searches, but the controlled number when you're talking about like situations still has a disparity rate of about 66% between black subjects and white subjects. And so what that effectively means is that for about every 100 white people that are stopped, 10 are searched, while every 100 black people that are stopped, about 16 are searched. So to give you a little bit of perspective on what that percentage means in actuality. Now, when it comes to the productivity and the impact of those stops, the hit rate really comes into play. And that is the number that we really want to focus on at LMPD, and making sure officers are good and accurate in their assessments of what is happening during these stops. And so that difference has been 11%. So we've encountered contraband on black subjects that we have searched about 11% less often than on white subjects. So for instance, that if we had a 50% hit rate for black subjects, that would equate to about a 61% hit rate on white subjects. And that is really where I want to make sure that we put our focus, is how are we behaving not only pre-stop and making sure that we are following the data, making sure we are treating people the right way, but making sure that we're effective in our stops and our decisions during those stops, and that we're seeing things accurately so that we make sure that the impact that we have on the community is one that not only keeps people safe, but makes people feel safe, and is not unduly burdening people or prolonging traffic stops, having searches that are frankly unproductive and creating negative interactions. And officers want that feedback. Officers want to make sure that they are doing their job better every day. And that's exactly why we sought out this data, is so that we could understand better than we had in the past how to give that feedback to officers, how to explain to officers what success is actually looking like, what effect are you actually having. And so that's what we'll ultimately use this data for, and have been using this data for, is to inform those decisions, to be able to give that feedback to officers on how to perform their duties and to do it well, minimizing negative impacts and maximizing our ability to keep people safe and take dangerous drugs and guns off the street. And to give you a little bit of perspective over the past few years, so homicides and shootings have gone down since 2021 about 54%. I think most of you have probably seen some of these statistics, but in the shorter term, since about 2023, they've gone down 32%. In that 10-year period that I talked about, we had 1,600 people killed in Louisville. That is a lot of lives. That is a lot of lives, and we take each one of those personally. And we want to make sure that we are doing as much as we can to bring that number down and make sure that we are saving people and preventing people from getting shot and preventing victimization. And with that, I also want you to understand, give some context to the disparities maybe in traffic stop search rates, and some of the things that might lead to that. We know that there are disparities in society. We know that there are racially based disparities in society that come from years and years of disparities, years and years of legal and illegal racism that has had results that have been passed down to us all the way to today. And we still deal with that as a society. We have disparate impacts in education. We have disparate impacts in education. We have different impacts in economic situations and home ownership. And we have disparate impacts when it comes to crime victimization. Black people in Louisville are historically about 70 to 80% of our homicide and shooting victims. We have to focus our efforts on making sure that we protect black people and keep black people alive. That disparate death rate amongst black people, but particularly young black men, is something that we are tasked with. It is our duty. It is our responsibility to make sure that we put every effort into keeping people safe. It is also our duty and our responsibility to make sure that we do it the right way. And we do it in a way that protects constitutional rights. And that is exactly why we wanted this data. That's why we sought out this data, so that we can better inform both sides of that, because community safety and the mission of law enforcement to keep people safe and protect constitutional rights are not mutually exclusive. They can only go together. And you have to do both of those things in order to do this job the right way. And so we wanted to understand that. And to give you some perspective on these numbers and how bad it had gotten and how much better it has gotten in the past few years, if we had stayed at that same peak rate, where we were hitting an average of 123 homicides a year, that would have been 44 more black people killed last year. 44 more black people would have been killed if we had stayed at that peak average compared to who died last year. For non-fatal shootings, you're talking about 238 more black people would have been shot if we had stayed at that peak average. And that is absolutely what this job is about, is keeping people alive. And so we are going to continue with our strategies of making sure that we are out here doing proactive work, doing the work to build trust and confidence in LMPD, and doing that work that makes sure that the community knows that we are taking care of them, that we are policing for them, and we are doing it the right way. And we're going to use this data, the crime data, and every piece of information that we get, whether it's data, word on the street, a feeling that we have, whatever we can use to make sure that we keep people safe, that is what we are going to do. We have been effective in keeping people safe and improving crime in the sense of safety in Louisville. And we have a lot of work to do still in both improving crime and in improving community trust and confidence in LMPD. And you can rest assured that we're going to continue to put in that work. And some of the things, to give you an idea, that we have done in the past few years is how we collect data so that we could have more accurate data. Previously, our stops form was on a piece of paper that you filled out. It had very, very basic demographic information and stop location information. We have changed that as of 2023, and it is a much more detailed stop form with much more details about searches, why officers made searches, the frequency with which we actually have success on those searches. We did not have that information before. This is allowing us to provide supervisors with data. This is allowing us to have the command staff provide it with data that's going to inform our strategies. This is allowing us to have information that we can give feedback to officers on how to improve their performance. We've had increased training that focuses on constitutional standards, procedural justice, crime trends, evidence-based policing, to make sure that officers understand the big picture. We've gone as far as we send every recruit class right now to Washington, D.C., and they go and they visit the Law Enforcement Memorial so they can understand the honor that comes with this job. They go to the African American Heritage Museum, and they go to the Holocaust Museum. And they go through a guided program there that is designed to help them understand the impact of policing on society, the role that we play, and how that can be manipulated and skewed to hurt people. and how it's their job to make sure that they do the best possible to protect people, not only physically, but protect their rights. And we take that very personally, and we are going to continue to improve every single day the way that we do things.